I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at... Oh, yeah, do you want to do that? Okay.
Recording in progress.
All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order at 5:09. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept the agenda, please?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, so Robin and then Barbara, or actually Ethan for a second. All those that agree, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. Is there anybody here who'd like to talk to the board? Okay. Doesn't look like it, so we'll keep moving on. Consent agenda. Can I get someone to make a motion regarding the consent agenda?
So moved.
Robin's making the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Ethan. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Great. Consent agenda passes. Next item on our list is monitoring report 2.7, compensation and benefits. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept that monitoring report, and then we can talk about it?
I make a motion to accept the monitoring report.
Okay, Robin made the motion. Is there a second?
I can use a different voice.
I can second.
All right, Ethan, thank you for seconding. Any discussion regarding this monitoring report about compensation and benefits? Anything you'd like to say about it?
Yeah, I really appreciate that this particular executive limitation is denoted in our policies, because it is very clear for a couple of things. One, that I can't unilaterally change the benefits that I receive, which is should go without saying, but I'm glad that it's said. And then secondly, that it actually uses the terms, do not put the school, the supervisory union in jeopardy of financial integrity or to the public image. So it's making sure that as we are looking to compensate our employees and make sure that our bills are right with our contractors and others, that we do what we need to do to make sure that we pay them on time, that we budget accordingly, and that we do what we can to make sure that not only are we stewards of the finances, but we're also stewards of our district's image.
Great. Anything else anyone wants to say? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting monitoring report 2.7, compensation and benefits, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on to governance process. We have a board monitoring report 4.4, the chair's role. Is there anything in that we need to change? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Are you still reviewing, or are you all set? Okay, Robin is set. Ethan and Barbara, are you okay?
Yep. I'm okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then we're going to just move on, and we'll just change the dates of our review. All right. The next item on our list is RNESU policy for action, which is a first reading. DID, capitalization of assets, which was revised February 2025. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve this policy?
So moved.
Thank you, Robin. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Barbara seconding. Any discussion? Can you tell us why this was, is it just an update?
It's an update through VASBO. VASBO,
Okay.
VASBO and A&E and AOE changed the number from the value from 5,000 to 10,000.
Oh, and that's it? Oh, okay. Any discussion about that? All right, this is a first reading, so it will come back to us again. If there's nothing to talk about other than the update and price, all those in favor of the capitalization of assets, please signify by saying aye.
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 Perfect. Thank you. Moving on. Change in authorization for signing orders. So during COVID, we switched our the signers for orders from us to the superintendent. And now that COVID is over, and because it's actually a very good idea as far as checks and balances, we really should be reviewing the orders ourselves. And so I would like this board to have 2 people sign the orders for RNESU each month now instead of the superintendent. What's everyone's thoughts or feelings about that?
Where will they be to be signed?
They'll be at central office.
Central office, so they have to go to central office?
Yeah, although sometimes when you're really busy, they might bring them to you.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yes.
That won't happen much longer.
I think it was suggested looking into electronic signatures.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's potentially an option or not, because I think the only tricky piece is going to get coordinating people's schedules to sign off on that. It's not
Sure.
necessarily so easy just to pop up to central office.
I think electronic signatures are hard, though, because you can't, I mean, they would have to scan in all of the information for you to look at.
Oh,
You know, because you have to look at each check and then make sure that it's got a PO and that it's going to the right place and that it looks like it's something we should be paying for. So electronic signature probably doesn't work. And I realize central office is down here and not so easy for BUU folks. But I still think it needs to come back to us somehow. And it's possible that we could bring the orders here and have them signed at the meeting.
the following,
Yeah.
yeah, that would work.
Okay? How is everybody else feeling about
As
that?
long as they're in person.
Yeah,
They can't be.
right. Well, usually there's at least 2 people that are here
Yeah, true.
that can sign in person.
And if that doesn't,
Yeah, I think that seems like a reasonable suggestion to bring them to a meeting.
Okay.
and then if that doesn't end up working, either myself,
Oh, at a
Brian,
at a Barstow meeting.
or Debbie we can either do it at a Barstow meeting, or we can make, we're at Barstow quite often, so
Yeah.
we can arrange and
True.
see if we can tie in our schedule to
Gotcha.
a board member schedule as well.
Right. Okay. So, I guess I'm making the motion that we now have all orders signed by 2 members of the RNESU board.
I'll second.
Okay? And since we've pretty much had the discussion, unless there's something else someone wants to say.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is OVUU specific. Is there any possibility that the orders for the local boards and the RNESU board could be out at the same time?
They typically are.
Okay.
It's just a matter of, because I've had to sign so far, they are typically ready around the same time. So if that is a request, so like we wanted to have it, we wanted to have it prepared every couple of weeks, then we could like designate, here's the window that we're going to need somebody to be ready to do it. And if we got to ride circuit, we got to ride the circuit.
Well, I think the one thing is, Kevin, is that we would like to have them signed at central office if at all possible,
Right, yeah.
so that we're not carrying them all over the place.
Yeah.
But if there comes a time where that's a
No,
problem.
I meant I
Oh.
was thinking of going to central office
Oh.
and not having OVUU ones brought to the board meetings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as 2 people haven't already signed them, then yes, they could be brought to a meeting. Sometimes they're just thick and heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
all right. All right, then all those in favor of the motion of having 2 members of the board sign orders, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Support and preparation for March elections. I'm looking at you for that one.
So we have the list of events that we have designated as, and you can also see them. I think you can see them in the superintendent's informational report as well. So events that we've had where I have my superintendent coffees. We've added an additional one at the Brandon Library. I know that that Debbie Singheiser is doing it. She has a budget hour before every board, actually every week, at the library at Barstow. This coming weekend, from 9 to 11, I'll be at the Chittenden Transfer Station, and from however long it takes me to get to Brandon. From that point on, I will be at the Brandon Transfer Station for 2 hours after that. So let's just call it 11:45 to 1:45. I'll be there. So if you have the ability and the time, I know people travel on the weekends, especially with break coming up. It'd be great if you could join me. Otherwise, anytime you can post stuff on Front Porch Forum or respond to something on social media if need be, or let us know so that we can respond to something on social media. We'll be happy to do so. So, love your help. Thank you.
Okay, legislative proposal discussion. So, everyone's heard about Governor Scott's proposal of 5 districts throughout the state of Vermont. There's also a couple of other proposals out there. We've talked at the OVUU board. I don't know what you've done at the BUU board in discussion about this, but I think this is one of those times where we just need to keep our eyes and ears open to anything going on, and if we need to jump in somewhere, we jump in. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what we're gonna, but I think we just need to be ready.
There's testimony. I can send you the link. There's testimony tomorrow, sometime in the middle of the afternoon. I know that Debbie Singheiser will be there representing VSBA, and I think there's another one following that. So it'll be recorded if you're unable to watch it live, but there will be the opportunity for you. We can track that information as if there is something that comes up in the legislative calendar that I know that I would like to speak at. I'm going to let you know that I'm going to go testify. But if there are other issues, either if board members would like to go as well, I think that would be very valid. So Kevin, as we move into the cell phone discussion, that might be one that if they do take testimony, that might be one that you might consider thinking about.
Okay. Any other, is there anything anybody wants to say about the governor's proposal or how I just think we need to make sure that our schools are, that we're in a good position, that our schools will remain intact for as long as possible.
So this is speculative in some ways, and maybe it's not appropriate to talk about it tonight, but there's another shoe that's going to drop, and that's whatever happens to the Department of Education federally. The account we got today in the packet is there's already some federal, some executive orders from the president. Obviously, we are expecting some kind of DOGE analysis of the Department of Education to come. Is there anything that we need to be worried about immediately in our district?
Immediately, between now and the end of the year, I don't think so, but I think going into next year, if the Department of Education does, if action is taken against it, I think we're going to have to kind of reassess what we have the ability to do, provided Vermont still has the ability to fund it. I think the more present thing that we have to worry about is that our budget is going to be affected by the tariffs, and I'm not exactly sure, how that and to what extent it's going to affect us, because we know already that as we refresh our Chromebooks, those are going to be more costly. But if we decide to do anything with any kind of renovations that we need, or any other kind of purchasing of fuels, whether it's for our wood chip furnaces, or if it's for our diesel fuel or our gas fuel, things like that, those could end up being much more costly than we anticipated. And so I think we are going to end up being hit from multiple sides, not just from the Department of Education. And so that's looking at our direct situation. There are many other things that could affect our families indirectly, and so they may be looking to us for assistance. So the more often that we can hear from our families and from the community that they need assistance, the better that we can plan. So I think as board members, if you hear things come up, please share them with the chair, so that way we can, if we have the ability to help our families, if we have the ability to help our community, at least be a sounding board, at least be a way for us to help organize relief, or organize any kind of response, so that way we can help them. We'd be happy to do that.
Okay. All right, so we'll just keep this as a boilerplate item on the agenda, just so that we keep it fresh in our minds. Okay? Okay, cell phone ban discussion. So this came up at OVUU, and I thought it was important that we bring it to RNESU. I'm going to let Kevin talk about it because it was he brought it to the OVUU board. But we have about the actual why the cell phone ban is good or needed. But we have set up a committee, or we are setting up a committee with Debbie at the OVUU side of parents, kids, and staff members to look at a cell phone policy that would ban cell phones completely. And so we wanted BUU to be in on it as well. And maybe it can be an SU policy instead of just OV. And I'm going to let Kevin take it as far as why and how.
Sure. Barstow's obviously, a very different school, but this may be an issue with your, say, 6th through 8th graders. The basis of this comes from Jonathan Haidt's book, Haidt. The Anxious Generation. He's also all over YouTube. He has a website as well. And the book makes a pretty simple argument that he calls he says that there's been what he calls a great rewiring since the invention of the cell phone, and particularly since the linkage of social media to the cell phone, and that it's extremely harmful to kids, and that and just to cut to the chase, that he argues that schools should ban cell phones for students. That whatever advantages they have as classroom tools, or being able to keep in touch with parents all the time, are vastly offset by the addictive nature of social media. He spends a fair amount of the book explaining how social media is constructed to be addictive and how it affects girls and boys in different ways, but both very, very severely, and that it's bad for their mental health, and it's social media, that is, and it's also bad for their ability to concentrate and learn in schools. And there's reams of data in this book. It's I wouldn't call it a fun read, but it's a very instructive one. So that's the what the committee is studying. Haidt goes to some lengths to say that this is something you can't do halfway, that allowing kids to look at phones at lunch, or allowing them to access phones in the hallway, is just as destructive of the community of the school as allowing them completely. And furthermore, these efforts fail because of the way kids use phones and their need for a little shot of what's the
Dopamine.
dopamine. Thank you. A little shot of dopamine every few seconds, which is what the hook is with these things. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. It's a different problem for high schools than it is for younger kids. So, like I started out saying, it may be a different discussion at Barstow than it is at OVUU, but that's the idea.
Is there any studies that show that work, like banning it in schools as opposed to going home and just flooding yourself again?
Yeah, he actually refers to a couple of places where it has been tried, and he thinks very successfully. Well, I should add that I got his permission to put these pages in the record. They're copyrighted, but he granted us permission.
Nice.
He's trying to start a movement, and if you look at the website, you'll see that.
Okay. So at this level, I think for the cell phone ban, it's really the 3 BUU members taking it back to your board, or telling me that I can share it with Debbie, and so that it can go on to your agenda for your next meeting.
I would share it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm speaking for myself on the board, but maybe the other two would want to.
Ethan, what do you think?
Yep, no, I'm happy to have you bring it to Debbie and let us start talking about it. I'd like to learn more about it. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing the information with us.
All right, so I will share it with Debbie, and then if she thinks it's a good idea, you guys can talk about it. But if you start the committee sooner, maybe you can come up with some BUU folks that can.
So the committee would be looking at
the
what?
cell phone ban and
Just the ban in general, or?
It's really just looking at a lot of different pieces.
Yeah, because I
Like what it
imagine,
would look like, and it's not just cell phones, it's really looking at screens in schools in general, because it's also thinking about our Chromebook use in schools, because as we use them for tools, for reading, math, things like that, what does that look like if you have indoor recess? Would we rather be having students sort of speaking with one another, socializing with one another, rather than surfing the net on their Chromebooks or playing games on their Chromebooks?
Or using it as rewards.
Right.
So if there's, as an incentive, if you do this, then you'll get 10 minutes to do whatever you want on your Chromebook.
Right.
so I assume there'd be policy with emergencies and parent contact and how you get around that if they needed to be. I've run into that problem. We have a exchange student with us right now, and to get hold of him sometimes is, things change. It's hard to, because he can't get his phone until later.
And there's a lot of, in speaking with my daughter who lives in another state, there's a lot of, I'm hearing that there's a lot of even recommendations that are coming out from pediatricians now. So I think that we should just reach out and see what's out there. And I think it's reaching out to the community, because the more efforts that we can gain from sort of a wider swath of people, the more successful we will be. And I think that the author mentions that as well, that the wider of a group we can have, developing this plan, the more successful we will
Just
be.
this information to go to the home and
Well, exactly.
regulate, it'll probably give you more people piling in behind you for going, yeah,
Well,
do it.
and more in my daughter's practice, parents are coming in now speaking about their younger children and less or no screen time whatsoever. So there is a shift now, but we have to think about what's happening in schools currently, and what do we peel back right now, and how do we help with that? Because the other thing we have to think about is the watches. There are some
Right,
smart
wow,
watches.
yeah.
There's just lots of
Oh, my
things to
goodness.
consider.
And then, in addition, so once we have the policy, then there's a enforcement and implementation
Sure.
aspect of it too. Well, and then a communication aspect, because it's not, kids can't just show up the first day of school and then, oh, by the way, this. So we'd have to get the information out, over the summer. Then we also have to designate who's responsible for doing what.
Right.
And then what happens if there is a violation of the policy.
And then how to deal with dopamine withdrawal during school time.
He does say that, that tends to be stopping a problem by the end of the second week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it's not one of these long.
Yeah. I
My
would,
name's Robin. I use a cell phone.
I would add that I think kids, at least high school age kids, recognize it. A student member of the school board said as much at our last meeting. And then something I forgot to say earlier, that he strongly recommends playtime
Yes.
for younger kids. So that's something that the Barstow board might want to consider as well.
Interesting.
Okay. All right, well, I will share that
Very
information with Debbie, and
Thank you.
we'll go from there. Okay, board mid-year self-evaluation. So, we really haven't done self-evaluations at all. I'm going to open it up to the board members that are here as to if you want to have a discussion about how we've done so far this year.
Well, I think you've done pretty well, seeing how we had a lot thrown on our plate with superintendent, dealing with all of that on top.
Sorry about that.
I think ship's run pretty good.
Okay?
I think you've done a great job keeping us on track and keeping us with the superintendent in check.
Yeah. That's been a big,
Yeah.
yes. All right, anyone else? Barbara, Ethan, Kevin?
Well, I tend to think these self-evaluations are a waste of time.
Well, I know, that's why, so just keep it short and simple, that's why I'm not, we're not doing the long, so there's this whole self-assessment that I could have sent out and had you all answer, which I did not
It
do
goes in the
that,
packet,
so,
yeah.
yeah, so it's in the packet if you wanted to do that, but I
The
don't,
people on this board are dedicated and, committed individuals to doing a good job, so.
Yeah, were we supposed to fill it out? You want us to
no, I
fill that
don't.
one out?
No.
Oh, no.
I got to read
No,
it.
I mean, you could have if you wanted to, I think it was just it's in there to give you an
A
idea of what
thought-provoker kinda,
right,
yep.
talking points and things, yeah.
Yep, no, that makes sense. No, I thought it was appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, then there's our self-evaluation. We're doing great. Okay. Superintendent information report.
So you've already seen some of this at the other meetings. Just, I think that the biggest thing that I will keep harping on is as we move through the governor's transformation plan, one of the things that is being intentionally left out is school lunch. And that is something that is very essential for our students to have on a daily basis. And you'll see the numbers that I got from one of the articles that I linked, that effectively it comes down to, if we wanted to feed 83,000 students a day, it comes down to $1.23 per day of the 175 days, or 62 cents a meal. And so that is an amazing direct service that we can provide to our students that not only gets them prepared for learning, It allows them to go home and have the energy to do what they need to be able to do, and it allows, particularly for our younger students, for the brains to continue to grow as they're supposed to grow because they're getting the nutrition that they need. And so that is, I'm very adamantly against that piece and will continue to harp on it because it is critically important for our students to have access to that. And even if there are some families who feel like they don't believe that that is something that all families should receive for free, I think kind of like you were mentioning, Kevin, it is a public good that will serve everybody. So I'll be happy to keep saying that over and over and over again.
Yeah, there's another argument for that too, that Olof Palme, the Swedish prime minister who was assassinated, this was way back in the Dukakis era, he made the argument that public services should be available to everyone lest they become a kind of stigma for the people who are neediest. And school lunch is a terrific example of that type of thing.
Of the reverse, actually, because it allows since everybody has access to it, you can't really identify who is the person who is receiving.
Yeah, sorry, I meant that it's a perfect example of that type of policy at work.
Okay.
No, I just would say thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Superintendent Sanchez, that you support this, and I'm behind you on that 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Thank you for pushing for the right thing.
Is there a consensus among the population of you as far as superintendents and that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think where there might be some, as tax rates are kind of sometimes being pushed as if we have this, then you also have to deal with that. I think that's kind of a false narrative that needs to be curtailed.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's a little disingenuous there to kind of push that narrative. I would agree.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So our next meeting is Wednesday, March 19th, which is after town meeting, and both of our organizational reset meetings for BUU and OVUU. So hopefully we'll all see each other next month. Oh no, Robin. Robin is gone. That's right.
Jessica,
So
too.
and just two? Wow. Okay. Well, we thank you for your service.
It's been a pleasure, really.
And
It's been good.
so
Annual meetings, too.
an annual meeting. So the annual meeting for Otter Valley is February 26th at 6 p.m. here at Otter Valley in the auditorium. And the BUU one is the night before, the 25th, correct?
Correct.
Is that also at 6 o'clock, but at Barstow?
In Barstow in the big room.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
meeting hall there.
Okay. So hopefully everybody can attend those. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, it's
I'll
moved by
second.
Robin and Ethan, and we're going to say goodbye. Bye, Charlene.